Happy Saturday. This is Sonia from An Enthusiastic Reader on a kind of gloomy Saturday morning. It's cloudy today. It's been very warm, but we're forecasted to maybe get snow on Thursday, which seems very weird that we would be switching from the heat to the cold so fast, but that's what's going to happen maybe. So I'm trying to figure out, making sure we disconnect the hoses and get everything ready for winter. I wanted to talk a little bit about the books I've read and what I'm reading now, and maybe a little bit of planning for the last quarter of 2019 in terms of what I'd like to get read. Right now, I've only finished one book since the last time I talked to you. I read Jean Stafford's The Mountain Lion, which I was reading for Mel's Gone with a Book tag, which is where at the end of September, October, and November, the last week of those 3 months, you read a book that was written between 1900 and 1950. And so The Mountain Lion was written in 1947. And I know a lot of people have read a lot of Jean Stafford short stories, but this was her novel. And it's semi-autobiographical. And it's about a brother and a sister. So there are 4 children. They have a widowed mother. She's very nervous and very protective of the children. The 2 older siblings are sisters. They're quite a bit older than the younger kids. And so they live in a kind of a separate reality than these younger children who have really vivid imaginations and are kind of outcasts. And they're tightly bonded, the brother and the sister. And when their grandfather dies, they end up spending time with their uncle who has a ranch in the mountains of Colorado. And so the book is set in California and Colorado. There's 2 different worlds, and it's not a traditional coming of age, and it's not really heartwarming. It's a lot more about kind of the malice and hatred that children can sometimes have, or it's a lot more about their psychology and about the truth of how they're feeling and being always kind of set apart from other society, very sheltered in California, and then very free-range children in Colorado, and the differences between them. They have to ride this train through these harrowing tunnels in the mountains of Colorado to get to the ranch, and it's full of really wrenching and weird dialogue. I mean, this is not a traditional standard book that you would think of as being written in the 1940s. It's a lot more honest and a lot more subversive than that, and I highly recommend it. It's a New York Review Book Classics edition, and now I definitely want to read more from Jean Stafford and maybe read her biography, because she seems like a fascinating author. So highly recommended if you're looking for a book for that tag. I am reading 4 books at the current time right now, which is way more books than I usually read. I'm reading Duck's Middleburyport still, about 60% done, and still really enjoying that and having some good discussion with my Buddy Reads people. And what else? I'm reading with Mary and Ryan. We are reading Joy Williams's kind of a mid-career book of short stories called The Honored Guest, or it's called Honored Guest, and I've only read the first story, but she's a really interesting writer that's always kind of intimidated me, and so I wanted to try some of her short stories, and this is written in the 2000s, so it's kind of a mid-career look at some stories by Joy Williams. I just started Chances Are by Richard Russo. I've read novels by him in the past. I've liked him. We're reading him for one of my book clubs. And I'm also reading The Woman in White for Victober and for a book club. So I've got 4 books that I'm juggling at the same time, and it can be good and bad, I think, to be reading so many books at once. But if I could finish like 2 of them this week, I would be thrilled. Yeah, I kind of have 3 categories for books that I definitely want to approach for the last 3 months of 2019. And so I have must-reads, want-to-reads, and honorable mention in case I do happen to get time to fit something else in. But my must-reads for the remainder of 2019 are Milkman by Anna Burns. I have to read that book. So many people I really respect on BookTube have loved this book, and I feel like I'm missing out by not approaching it. And also the nonfiction book, and I'm going to put it on the screen because of course I didn't look it up before I started filming, but I think it's called Do Not Look Away, and it's about the Troubles in Ireland, the nonfiction book about, that's kind of a brand new book that people are talking about now. So I'm going to put the picture here, and I will put the actual title on the screen. But I was talking to someone in the comments of their video, and they said that those would be good companions for each other. I think it was Alex from What Page Are You On? And we were talking about, he was mentioning these books, and I think those would be a great pairing for November, for Nonfiction November, to read a fiction and a nonfiction together. I definitely want to read Cousin Pons by Balzac. In December, there's a group read that's going on with Brian from Bookish and others, so I definitely have that on my list. And then, so if I get those 3 books, I definitely have to read those on top of the 4 books I'm reading right now. And then I have want to reads, and I want to read the next installment of Louise Penny, which is, I think it's The Hangman, is the 6th book in the series. And I also want to read the first Elizabeth George, Inspector Lynley, again, putting it on the screen. I should have prepared for this, but I'm in the throes of it now. I'm not going to jump out. And I also definitely want to try and get to Olive again, which is the sequel to Olive Kittredge by Elizabeth Strout, one of my all-time favorite books. She's a great writer. She's never led me wrong, and I want to read the sequel. If possible, I'd like to read one more Elizabeth Gaskell novel this year. I have a book called Ruth that I've never heard anyone talk about, but I have a copy of it, so I'd like to read that. And then I just would like some time for some free reading and just some mood reading. I have plenty of possibilities, and so I want to jump into those, you know, pick and choose as I'm feeling motivated. I might also read A Tree Grows in Brooklyn again, if that's a real Christmassy book. I think I always associate it with Christmas because of the iconic Christmas tree scene, and if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. 2 characters bring home a tree for Christmas, and that scene has really stuck with me, and I never forget it, so I associate that book with Christmas, although it's really not a Christmas book. And so I might read that, and yeah, that's kind of what I've got in the pike for the rest of 2019. We're going to go see a movie today. We're going to go see the Judy Garland book. We're going to go see the movie Judy, about Judy Garland, with Renee Zellweger. And I've been watching, I watched Unbelievable, which is a Netflix miniseries about the sexual assault and recantation of a girl who's kind of forced to recant her sexual assault, and then the 2 detectives that lead the way to try and find the serial rapist, and it was excellent. So if you like that kind of thing and you have Netflix, I would say it's definitely worth the time to watch that series. I really enjoyed it. When I say really enjoyed it, you know what I mean. Yep, so that's all I've got for now. I'm going to edit this video later this afternoon, put it up, and just wanted to say hi. And I've been watching videos. I'm behind. I'm trying to catch up and do the reading, and I've got some work projects going, so lots happening. Yeah, let's all hang in there together through this kind of wild political ride that we're on. It's pretty terrifying, but yeah, hang in there, and I will talk to you soon, and thanks for watching.